Hi, this is Trepacer. This is my review of San Andreas, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Carla Giugiani, Alexander Daddario, Ian Griffith, and Paul Giamatti. And this is a story about a LA rescue helicopter pilot, played by Dwayne Johnson. He plays Ray. Um, he's just recently divorced from, or I guess he has to sign the papers, from his estranged wife, Emma, who has a daughter, Blake, and his backstory that he had an older daughter that died in a drowning incident years ago, and so he's estranged from his wife now, and his wife is dating Daniel Reddick, who's like this rich architect. Okay, and as the movie begins, they show him doing his job, doing a rescue actually, and rescuing a young girl from uh, a car that's been fallen, in the alley, and they show him, rescuing her, and he's being interviewed by a reporter, and then he has plans to go with his daughter, to San Francisco on a camping trip, but he gets actually called back to work because uh, during the Hoover Dam there's an earthquake which basically destroys the Hoover Dam, and you have one character, Paul Giamatti, who plays Lawrence. He's like an expert in I guess earthquakes and all that. And you see him in the beginning of the movie. He's teaching the class and telling them how they're trying to predict earthquakes and how they work. And him and a colleague, they have this theory, and they actually see activity, and they go to the Hoover Dam, and actually his friends winds up, spoiler, dying, trying to save someone, and then they have to go back, and like The Rock, as he goes home, and he finds out he has to get called back, he pulls out papers. You can see he still loves his wife, but he puts on a brave face and says, "Listen, I got to go back to work, so we'll go camping, another time," to his daughter. Okay, and Daniel, who's supposed to be the helpful, new boyfriend of his, of the daughter's, the mother, uh, he offers to take her to San Francisco since he said, "I got a meeting with her anyway. I'll take you there." And while she's in the building, I guess, waiting for him to come back downstairs, she runs into this British guy and his obnoxious young brother, his brother kind of basically flirts for him. He's there for an interview, to work at the company, and the next day, the obnoxious younger brother kind of forces her to giving in to the phone, the phone number. So, and during this, when she's leaving with the wife's boyfriend, rich boyfriend, there's a real big earthquake, and then that's when you find out from Paul Giamatti, who plays Lawrence, that this is a big event coming, and a really big event that they predict it's going to come and wipe out, the San Andreas fault is going to wipe out. They said basically they're going to wipe out all of California, and they're going to feel it on the East Coast. Okay, so Ray has to go in, and while he's, his ex-wife, is having dinner with the sister of the rich boy, rich architect that she's hanging, who's a boyfriend. That massive earthquake hits, and basically Ray calls her to apologize about how he acted earlier when they actually met, and during that phone call, of course, like you see in the trailer, that's when the earthquake hits, and she runs to the top of the building, and of course, like you see in the trailer, he basically rescues her, and they basically have to spend the rest of the movie going to fly to get to San Francisco, where his daughter is, who basically gets left by the rich boyfriend, the rich, I guess, evil boyfriend, who basically panics and leaves her trapped in a car, and he has to, the parents basically have to fly back to San Francisco and avert all kinds of disasters to rescue their young daughter. And I enjoyed this movie for what it is. I mean, it's a typical disaster movie, with, massive destruction going on, of course, naturally, and they don't. I notice with these movies that they don't show really people, dying, I guess, or dead bodies laying everywhere. Then I guess it would be a horror movie. I guess if they show dead bodies laying everywhere, but you see all this destruction and people running and stuff, but you never actually see like dead bodies laid out on the ground anywhere. And I guess they do that, to keep the rating and the way it is, and I guess to keep it from being a hard R or something. But anyway, The Rock plays a nice heroic guy. Like I said, him and his, but if they give him like this backstory of their, they had an older daughter before who drowned, and that's kind of, I guess, led up to the estrangement or the divorce of the Rock and Carla Giuliani's Giuliano, I think that's her name, right? Their characters. So you can see he still loves her, but you know, there's this distance between them, and he basically the Rock guy, he blames himself for his daughter, his daughter drowning. Okay, and basically, of course, his daughter is spunky Alexander Daddario. She's the daughter, and she's with the two young British guys, and they're basically trying to avoid all these disasters, all the buildings crumbling around them, and try to get to a higher ground so they can meet, because the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, his character, and Ray and Emma, the parents, they're making their way to San Francisco, by helicopter, by boat, by any way possible to rescue their daughter. And like I said, it's an okay movie. I mean, like I said, there's a few things that annoyed me. Like I said, the obnoxious, younger British, not the British guy himself so much. He's kind of bumbling and kind of shy, but the younger brother is sort of annoying. But you kind of forget it after the initial meeting with him. You kind of forget that, and you concentrate on the disaster part. And Paul Giamatti, like I say, he's the expert, and he runs into the same reporter who happened to interview The Rock earlier in the day. She comes to interview him, and they kind of bond because he has to basically try to get the word out to let everybody know that this big earthquake is coming, this really big earthquake is coming, and try to evacuate people as much as possible. And you see, like I said, The Rock and Carla Giuliani, they're making their way to San Francisco by helicopter, by boat, every way possible, a truck, to try to get to their daughter and rescue her. And will they rescue her on time? I think you can pretty much figure that part out without what's going to be. But it's predictable. But The Rock makes it enjoyable, and the disaster's good. And like I said, Alexander Daddario, she's good. She's no helpless female. She's rich, pretty spunky, and she basically has to lead the British guys on to get to higher ground to hopefully meet up with her parents, and be safe. And like I said, I just feel bad for Ian Graffa, who plays Daniel Riddick, the rich boyfriend, because he kind of gets labeled a villain by an action that he does, which is kind of understandable. I think what happens, because I think the character, his reaction is kind of realistic, what he does. But then I guess to cement the fact that he's an asshole, they make him do something else, which kind of seals the deal. But overall, this was an entertaining movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, and it was a decent movie as far as disaster movies go. A lot of destruction and stuff, and you do care about the characters and what's going to happen to them. Okay, and even though it's predictable, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it for what it was. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think. Have you seen San Andreas? What do you think of it? Feel free to leave comments down below. This is Trepacer saying so long and take care.